Does that make you feel as a bowling group though you have to do something different to the Indian bats?
I think we know how good the Indian bats are. I think there was obviously a lot of talk about at the time two legends of the game, but they've always had great depth, weight knocking on the doors to come through, and we've seen that. Some excellent players that we know we've got to be at our best to perform well against. Headingley was a pretty good surface to bat on, which made it hard work for the bowlers all round, I think. But obviously we did well in terms of being able to take 20 wickets, and when they got ahead of the game, we could bat, we managed to drag ourselves back into the game, which is really important and a good skill to have. We're moving forward to here, I'm sure, again, probably looking at another good batting surface. There's good weather around, so probably another hard week for bowlers, but we'll obviously look at what things that we did well last week, maybe things that we didn't do so well, and try and put them right again this week.
And by modern standards, there's a reasonable gap between these two test matches. In that sense in particular, is there any need to think about changing or winning team?
I don't know. I think you always turn up at a new venue and look at the surface, look at the conditions, look at past history of the surfaces that you play on at these venues, and maybe reassess on what is likely to give you the best opportunity of winning this week. So that's not from the side, but we obviously put in a really strong performance last week, and we're looking to do the same whichever 11 goes out there this week.
Just finally for me, and perhaps almost the most surprising thing about England's win is that people aren't surprised about winning in that kind of circumstance again. But I just wonder, within the kind of the ethos and mentality of the team, to chase a total like that, does it just reinforce the kind of belief that you have in the way you're playing Test match cricket as a team?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, as a player and as a team, you always get confidence from doing things well and winning. You can do things well and lose, and it doesn't quite always have that same effect. So it's always good to get over the line and get a win. That does breed some confidence within the group to show that we're doing some things right. We're also a group that we know we need to improve. There's areas that we did last week that we know we can do better. We'll look at putting those things right. But certainly as a team, the way we go about things, we're pretty happy with how we go about things and this kind of style of cricket, the brand of cricket we want to play. We know that that's been successful over the last few years, and we'll stick to that. But there's definitely still tweaks that we know we can do a bit better as a team, so we'll look to do that.
Fish, go ahead.
Hi Chris, as someone who knows what it's like to balance your duties of bat and ball, how impressed were you with the way that Stokes bowled in that last test?
Yeah, it was incredible. Without him having played a load of cricket leading into the test match, for him to come in and do what he did and hit his straps, at good pace. He's obviously fit and lean at the minute, looking really strong, which is great for us. Because obviously we want him to play every test match with that we play, but also obviously we want him to be that seamer that can bowl his overs and do what we know he can do, which he did last week. I thought he was amazing on a good pitch. He looked threatening every time he had the ball, the newer ball or the old ball. I think that's good to have. We all know what Stokes is capable of, but it's great to have your leader being able to grab the ball like that and kind of showing you the way sometimes. We know what he's capable of. It was great that he showed that last week. It was really good.
His speeds in particular were probably the highest they've been for a while actually from him, and the consistency of the spells as well. Did you sense that was coming? Because it sounds like he was bowling quite a lot in the nets, even like a couple of days beforehand, when maybe you wouldn't normally do that.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't do things in half measures, does he? When he's training, he's training. When he has time off, he has time off. But when he's there, he's doing his work. It's a real pleasure to watch sometimes. I could sense it was coming. He's certainly been training hard. You can see the physical state he's in really good condition. And I think obviously the injuries that he's had, he's probably just doubled down on his fitness to make sure he's in the best shape possible to be able to lead his team at his best. And he certainly did that last week. And hopefully there's more of that to come for the rest of the series.
Just the last one from me. Do you think he's a bit more skillful than he was before because he's been able to work on his skills rather than just preserve himself from match to match?
I think he's just, I look at the best players in the world, they're always trying to get better, and he's always been the same, and I think over this little period he's probably looked at his bowling and thought he could probably tinker a few things and try a few different new deliveries, whether that be wobble seam or he's been able to swing skillful. And I think maybe in the past where he felt like he was probably just a bit inconsistent with it. But I think, as you said, I think what you saw last week was he was incredibly consistent with what he was trying to do. His relentlessness and his energy on the ball was as good as I've seen for a long time. So that's a good sign for us. Anthony.
We've got time for two more, one at the front here, and then we'll just go at the back and then we're done.
Chris, obviously last game we saw a flat wicket, but on those flat wickets, then India had two batting collapses. So going into the evening innings, how much of a morale booster it was because the Polish side became quite cheap on both innings?
Yeah, I think always good to I suppose get the last few wickets of the team out for quite cheaply. I think the difference between chasing 400s and late 300s is obviously a big difference. So I suppose it did give us a bit of confidence going in, but I think the way the team plays and the ethos of Ben and Brendan want the team to play with is that we try to chase down pretty much anything. But obviously, the less runs you have to get on day 5, the better. So I suppose it probably did give us a bit of confidence going into that batting innings, but obviously there was still a lot of work to do.
And last one at the back of the room, please.
Just from a Rishabh Pant perspective, do you plan any differently for him compared with other batters? And is there a challenge to try and improvise when he bats the way he does in the middle?
Sorry, I didn't get the start of that. What was that? Rishabh.
Just the plans for him, and do you feel the need to sort of improvise when he bats the way he does in the middle?
No, I mean Rishabh's a player which you don't really know what's coming next. He's a player which keeps you on your toes as a bowler, which is sometimes exciting to bowl against, but others sometimes he can put you on the back foot as a bowler. But he makes the game move forward, exciting to be a part of the game when he's at the crease. But look, he scored 200s. Obviously up at Henley, played really well, chanced his arm on a few occasions and came off, and hopefully this week we can get him a little bit earlier. But I think we haven't really met up yet, but I'm sure we'll have some discussions around some of the players that have come up against last week and how we can bowl up a little bit better.
Okay, thank you.